Hello everyone. Hello everyone. We are live. We're live on YouTube, on Jaden's TV, and on my Facebook handle. You are welcome. This is a live stream. I recommend you make yourself comfortable, get something to drink, get yourself a glass of water, a glass of wine, get your popcorn, or whatever you need to do to make yourself feel absolutely relaxed. We are going to have a very interesting conversation today. I would please implore you to make it interactive. I want us to share our comments. And if anyone wants to call in, if you have any questions concerning the topic we're going to talk about today, you can leave a live chat. In the live chat, I can see it and I will respond. I could show my picture at some time. Later on in the live at some point, depending on how things progress. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I can see some people in the chat already. Thank you so much. This is Jaden's TV. My name is Jaden Uche. I talk about mental health. I am passionate about self-development. I talk about beauty and lifestyle. And I enjoy anything that makes me a better person. So today we're going to talk about something really, really important to me. You will soon realize why this is very important. It is something that I've always wanted to talk about on this channel. I haven't quite made my mind up until recently. There has been a story in the news that had once again stimulated my desire to talk about this. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to make progress in a few more minutes. I'm waiting for more people to join us. If you're joining in from Facebook, you are welcome. If you're joining in on my live Jaden's TV on YouTube, you are equally welcome. So I want to start by saying that the lady on the picture you have seen, my thumbnail, her name is Chacha Eke. I want to premise today's video on this young woman. I will be sharing her picture as we go on in this conversation. For those of you who are not familiar with that face, who Chacha Eke is, she's a very beautiful Nigerian actress. She is a young woman. I believe she should be in her 30s or late 20s. I'm not very certain. But she's a young woman. She's a mother of 4. She's currently married, I believe. She's from Ebonyi State. Ebonyi State is a state in Nigeria, one of the eastern states in Nigeria. Chacha, like I said, I think her husband's name is Fanny or Fanny. So Chacha is a beautiful young woman who has 4 children. Previously, I think sometime last year, she was in the news because she had problems with her mental health. So she had mental health breakdown. And as a result, I think she did 1 or 2 things. She made either posts on her Instagram or on her Facebook handle, I cannot say for sure, concerning her marriage. She had hinted at the time that her marriage was breaking up. Eventually, it turned out that this young woman was hospitalized at the time. She apparently had reported that she had bipolar disorder. And then I think she was able to make things right with her husband. They continued to stay together. And unfortunately, very recently, there has been another story in the media, on social media, that this young woman is yet again going through crisis in her mental health. So I read one article. I can't remember what the blogger who published that story. It was very unflattering. It was very uncomplimentary, especially some of the remarks beneath those stories, the publication. Some people were very unkind in the comments they left behind. There were lots of speculations. Some people said she may have taken something. Some alluded to her problem being demonic. Others felt there were others, colleagues in the movie industry who must have done something to her. Some people said it must be witchcraft from the movie industry. It could be juju or something like that. Anyway, a lot of speculations. So before I go in any further, I want to give a very quick disclaimer. I haven't spoken to this young woman personally. I don't know what her current diagnosis is. I am going by what she had said herself previously concerning her mental health. I'm not sure if that has changed or if it's still the same. But I want us to, and I also want to add very quickly that this woman is someone I personally admire. Like I said, she's a beautiful woman, and I love when women do very well. I love when women look after themselves. I love when women grow in whatever their chosen career. So just like most Nollywood actresses, she was someone I loved to watch. My younger sister at the time was schooling at Ebonyi State, so a part of me was always identifying with this woman. So I felt bad when I heard the story of her mental health breakdown. Now, I am going to say whatever I have to say here out of respect. My intention with this video is not to speculate about her mental health. It is not to disrespect her or her family, and it is definitely not to entertain people. As always, my intentions with today's video is to educate others, to learn, and I would really want to learn from people. If anyone has experienced anything concerning what we're going to talk about today, if it hits a nerve, if it strikes a chord, if you or your family member had this experience, I would want you to please leave your comment in the chat. If you feel comfortable to talk about it, I'm more than happy to share the link for people to call in and share their own experience. But as always, my motivation, what is usually my greatest motivation with these conversations around mental health, is because I want people to be empowered. I want people to feel motivated, to feel inspired to share their story. Mental health issues, mental health problems are as common as having a headache and needing paracetamol. So I don't want people to continue to feel ashamed to talk about their mental health issues. When you don't talk about your mental health issues, it can result in crisis. And when it results in crisis, you are no longer in a position to make the decisions for yourself. People begin to question your capacity to make decisions for yourself. And trust me, I don't think there is anything more difficult in life than not being able to make decisions about yourself because you lack the mental capacity, because you lack the mental insight. People can easily exploit you. And trust me, if you're not careful, even your family members. So when you notice something is wrong with your mental health, do not wait for things to deteriorate. Because when things deteriorate, you take that power away from yourself and you give it to another person. People will decide where you seek help. People will decide what medication you use. People will decide what food you eat. People will decide what clothes you put on. It's literally someone being incapacitated. And this is because you waited to get to crisis level. Mental health illness is real, like I always say in my videos, and it can happen to anyone. So I know I am mindful of time, but I wanted to make that very important disclaimer to put it out there. So we are going to go into what it means, assuming what this lady said to her about herself, about her diagnosis many months ago is correct. Assuming Chacha Eke has bipolar disorder, what does it actually mean? So I'm going to put her picture in a minute, just for people who are not familiar with that face. Like I said, Chacha Eke is a Nigerian actress. She's a very beautiful woman. She's a mother of 4, and she is from Ebonyi State. So I will bring up her picture in a minute, but I want us to reflect on what that concept is. What is bipolar bipolar disorder? Now, bipolar or bipolar disorder is a mental health condition that affects our mood and behavior. So there are some mental health problems that affect the way we think, the way we perceive things. If you remember my video on autism, I am still going to talk about psychosis in another video. But there are some mental health problems that affect our perception of reality. That is where you see people, they talk like they are aliens, for example. They talk like they are in a different world. They don't see things from a normal person's point of view. But bipolar is not typically that type of mental health problem. This is a mental health problem that affects our mood and our behavior. Your mood, the way you feel. So, we all feel different emotions. That is a fact. Sometimes we're happy, sometimes we're sad, some other times we're angry and frustrated. And this happens to every one of us, irrespective of who we are. Some other times we want to be by ourselves. Whether or not you are a laid-back person or you're the life of the party wherever you go, there are just some occasions you don't want to associate with a lot of people. And sometimes, generally, we're moody. It might be your partner, your son, your daughter, your brother who you always chat with. He might wake up in the morning and feel, you know what, I don't want to speak to anyone. I am just moody. Oyibo people will say they are grumpy, So these are normal, everyday emotions. We all feel that. So the difference between that kind of feeling, that normal everyday change in our moods and emotions, and bipolar disorder is that when you talk about bipolar disorder, you talk specifically about 2 extremes. So it's either you are super excited, extremely happy, or you are experiencing the extreme opposite of that feeling. And that's where we talk about feeling of depression. Yeah? So what differentiates bipolar from normal emotions? When people are generally upset or sad, like I said, tomorrow they might wake up and that's it. They feel happy. You might receive an alert in your bank, or somebody might give you a great news and suddenly your mood is elevated, you're happy, and you carry on with your normal life. That is not a problem. It happens to every one of us. But bipolar is characterized by 2 major changes in our mood: extreme highs and extreme lows. And this is why you have the name bi. So bipolar literally means 2 things, 2 moods in one. Now, there are 2 major types of bipolar. There is a third one which most people do not have, the C class. But the type 1 bipolar and type 2 bipolar are usually the main difference. I mean, the two major categories of bipolar. Now, when someone has an extreme high mood, they are said to be manic. So they experience mania. Now, what are the things you see, or what are the things you expect to see when people experience mania? So they have experiences like super excitement, like I said. They feel mood elevation. Their speech is pressured. You see that person going, bah, 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 bah. Normally that's not how they talk, but they feel super excited. They have racing thoughts. So the reason they have racing pressured speech is because they have racing thoughts. Their brain is working super fast. Now there's also feeling of grandiosity when people feel unnecessarily superior. You know, they have this sense of, I am better than anyone around me. I am super talented. Some of them liken themselves to even spiritual being, you know. So there's this feeling of euphoria. And when you talk about their energy level, it is also very heightened. They are hyperactive, and unfortunately, they can also feel this feeling of impulsivity. They do things without thinking. These are the things you experience when someone experiences mania, when they are having what we call manic episode. So the downside of this feeling of, I mean, every one of us want to be motivated. You want to wake up in the morning and feel supercharged, super motivated, so you can achieve your daily goals or your weekly goals, whatever it is. But we are not created to feel that supercharged all the time. But when people experience this manic episode, they have this unusually energy level. You know, there is serious, how would I make it simple? There is serious change in their behavior, in the sense that because they have a lot of energy, they have a lot of things going on around them and in their mind, they feel they can do above and beyond what they normally would do in their everyday lives. So because they're impulsive again, they get involved in sometimes very risky behavior. So things like use of drugs, you know, things like random sexual exposure. You know, you hear somebody who you are familiar with, they tell you they are going to, they are traveling to, for example, to a different state. And you're going, when did you make this plan? Oh, I just decided yesterday night. You think they're joking, they bought a ticket, they're boarding a plane to maybe a state in America. And before you say Jack Robinson, they are back and they're showing you the wedding certificate. And you go, hold on, when did you meet this man? For how long have you dated him that you would make this life-changing decision in 2 weeks? They will tell you it doesn't matter. They saw this man, they love this man, and they were convinced that this is their life partner. You will not understand it, but it's because of their state of mind. They take unnecessary risk, not because they want to, but they can't control those impulses. The same thing happens to their relationship with money. People go into gambling. You see someone, they go to their bank account, they clear everything, you know, and then they tell you they want to invest in a business. There is no background check. There's no due diligence. They haven't done any consultation. Before you know it, they have squandered all the money they had in their savings. Why? Because they were having that manic experience. Guys, I'm just looking at the chat. In case you see me, you feel me pause, I want to make sure if there's any message here for me, I can easily respond. So guys, please, let's make this interactive. If you're enjoying this live so far, I would appreciate if you give me thumbs up. And for those of you who have not subscribe to my channel. Again, this is another opportunity to do so. And thank you for your support to all my returning subscribers. And to those of us that will watch this live in replay, I appreciate your support. Do not forget to give me likes when you do. So that is it for the feeling of mania. Now, the other part of bipolar is where people feel extreme low. That is your typical depressive episode. So you experience things like low mood, quite the opposite. There is loss of interest in things that they would normally enjoy. They are tearful. They lose appetite. Sometimes people have even increased appetite. They eat more and they pile on weight. Now, there is also another very risky aspect of suicidality. Feeling low or feeling depressed, which is suicidal ideation. I've made a video on suicidal ideation. If you haven't seen that video, I shared my own experience. I would implore you to watch that just for you to understand what happens when we say that someone is feeling suicidal. Now, when people are experiencing manic episode, I have told you what happens then. And when they experience depressive episode, you have your typical depression. And it is very important that people talk about this mental health condition, because people can actually go on to harm themselves seriously or even end their lives. Just as we have seen, when they're in that manic state, they can make life-changing decisions that they will forever live to regret. Some people have been infected, just because they went on rampage due to their condition. They weren't supported. People around them didn't know that they were undergoing this experience. Now, I want us to talk about duration. This is something I think is very important. Usually, that manic episode can last for up to a week. I told you one day you might wake up and feel supercharged, but the next day you're feeling normal. It is not classed as bipolar disorder. Ideally, you should experience that manic state for at least 1 week. And when it is the depressive part of the bipolar disorder, it can last up to 6 months. So you wouldn't just be depressed 1 day or 2 days and you class yourself as, being depressed. Now, globally, I'm going to talk about statistics. Globally, about 46 million people have bipolar. This is according to World Health Organization. When we talk about the prevalence of mental health problems, sometimes it doesn't feel home. It doesn't feel personal until you know someone, either your family or your friend, who has this problem. I've made a video where I think it was actually my video on suicidality, where I said that until something feels home, until you're personally touched and affected, most of the times we don't really take things like this seriously. But a lot of people have bipolar disorder. There is the same level of condition rather, in men and in women, just 1% different. In men, you have 2.9% of the world population have bipolar, and women have 2.8%. Now, for the onset, when does bipolar start? When do people develop bipolar? Usually, the average age for onset, initial onset, is usually before the age of 25 years. So, but you have teenagers from the age of 18 to 29. They have the highest rate of bipolar disorder at 4.7%. Now, for people who are 30 to 47 years, you have 3.5%. They are the second most affected age category. For people who are older, 60 years and older, they are 0.7%. They are lowest that is affected in this age category. Now, Something that we also need to bear in mind is that bipolar disorder reduces your lifespan by 9.2 years, almost 10 years. So if you know someone that has bipolar disorder, and you do not support them, or you're someone who think you might have this condition and you're keeping it hush-hush, you're not seeking the help you need, you are actually reducing your life expectancy by 10 years. This is very serious. And finally, the suicide risk of bipolar is up to 15 to 17%. So remember we said that when people are experiencing manic episode, they are so out of touch that they can do anything. They can use drugs. They can do all manner of things. We've talked about them. These are things that can threaten your life. But apart from that, even committing suicide because of their depressive experience, their depression, can take the risk. It can increase the risk by up to 15 to 17%. Yeah? So, what causes bipolar? Now, this is where I am going to, let me see if I can put this lady's picture. I know some people have recently joined us. You are welcome. I really want to share the picture of this woman. Just in case I have people who are not familiar with the person I'm talking about. Just a quick recap. She is a Nigerian actress. Her name is Chacha Eke. So Chacha is a mother of 4. She's from Ebonyi State. She's very beautiful, as you will soon see. So let me share her picture. Yeah. Okay. So this is her picture on, I think I'm on her Instagram page. Actually, hold on, not this one. Just bear with me a second. But you should be able to see this. Okay. So this is who Chacha Eke is. This is the lady I'm talking about. She's a beautiful Nigerian actress. I personally love her. I love her work. I think she's talented. This is herself and her husband. I'm sure most of us are familiar with this face. So my decision to use her profile or her story in this video is just so that I can drive my point home. I wasn't too impressed with some of the comments I heard and I read online concerning this woman's experience. Some came across as very insensitive. Some were not empathetic. You know, some were literally accusing her for using drugs or doing something that resulted in this problem, you know. And some people felt it was her colleagues who have done something to her. So this is Chacha Eke. This is the lady I'm talking about. So now, what causes bipolar? Unfortunately, again, like most mental health problems, there is no particular cause. No one can tell you for sure what leads to bipolar. Why would a teenage boy, a boy of 18 to 19 years or even 16, suddenly be handed this diagnosis, or someone in their 30s or even in their 50s, as we've seen? Now, there are a few studies. One thinks that there is chemical imbalance in the brain. Usually, when we all know that our brains are made up of normal neurons that communicate with each other, pass message, receive, transmit. And then when there is disease in the brain, the neurons are also responsible for cleaning things out. So at some point, if there is a problem with the neurons, there is imbalance in the brain, they will begin to malfunction. That is one cause of bipolar disorder. So when the neurons are affected, the signals in the brain is affected, and the thoughts and behaviors are affected. It's as simple as that. That is too technical. I'm not going to go into that. Now, the next cause is when there is too much dopamine in the brain. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter in the brain. When you have too much of it, again, things begin to malfunction. But also, equally very significant is the genetic aspect of bipolar. So people who already have family history of bipolar, they have chances of having this condition. So if you have a family member who already has bipolar, you are likely going to be at risk. But also, lifestyle changes or choices we make. Anytime we use recreational drugs, there are chances that either you end up with psychosis or you end up with alterations in the way your neurons function in your brain. So this is equally something that can trigger such condition. Now, use of medication, even some medications that are prescribed by your doctor, they can alter the chemical state in your brain and cause problems like this. But also, finally, you have stress. Stress is anything that can cause you, to experience discomfort, experience distress in your life. It can be loss of someone close to you. It can be worries about money. There could be traumatic experience. People get involved in accidents. Also, women who experience childbirth. That is a traumatic experience. Whether you have normal delivery or you had cesarean section, it increases your risk of having this condition. So there are a few of them, I think it's actually 5, that can lead, but primarily if you have a family or someone in your family who already has bipolar disorder, you need to pay particular attention because it automatically increases your chances. Now, what is the cure? Is there any cure for bipolar disorder? Unfortunately, there is no cure. Just like most conditions, what you need to do is to take your medication. So this condition impacts hugely on our everyday ability to live our normal lives. And if we do not treat this condition, that is one very important thing I need to say here concerning bipolar disorder. If you do not get treated, you are making things more difficult for yourself because things can become really intense for you. You can have persistent experience of these manic episodes or depressive episodes, and also it would eventually become more difficult to treat. So the earlier you talk about your condition, the earlier you get a diagnosis, the earlier you start treating this condition, the better for you. Now, there are certain medications, when you talk to your doctor, you talk to your consultant, they will help you understand the medication that suits you best. There's a few mood stabilizers. Remember, we talked about too much dopamine in the brain. So the medication will help you stabilize things in your brain. This could be your normal, everyday mood stabilizers like lithium and so on and so forth. Sometimes you can also use antipsychotics or antipsychotics like we call it here. But again, it's not something you want to go over the counter. For some of us who can readily have access to this medication, you don't want to do that because every medication you put in your mouth has its own side effects. So you need to make sure that you're being monitored, you're speaking to your doctor, your psychiatrist, or a mental health practitioner who would have this conversation with you. When they give you medication, they will need to follow up and monitor how you respond to that medication, just in case they need to change it. There are some medications for mental health problems that will make people feel suicidal. You will be surprised. How come they give you medication and suddenly you want to end your life? That is because you're experiencing a side effect of that medication. So you need to ask your doctor and get monitored, especially because you want to know how you respond to that particular medication. Now, something else we need to talk about is lifestyle changes. Remember, we talked about stress. Stress induces bipolar. So if you're someone who is under a lot of stress, you might want to consider cutting down on some of those things that make you stressed out. Life is a gift. Like I always say, there is nothing you cannot do when you are alive. But when you are not there, everything stops. So we need to cut down on stress. If it is a relationship that is making you feel stressed all the time, every time you're on the go, you want to look at it. When women have their babies, men, I beg you with the name of God, your wives need support. A good number of you are fantastic. You're already doing it. I remember when we were children, when we were growing up, I remember my dad used to cook at some point, my brothers at some point, just so my mom can get some rest. So when a woman has a baby, it is a lot of changes. There's a lot of hormonal changes. There's a lot of chemical imbalances. There's a lot of mental health changes. You need to shield that woman. You need to support this woman. And if you pay attention, this Chacha Eke usually has these crises, experiences these crises. Immediately she has her baby. I'm not sure if it's exactly the case, but that is what I think happened because she recently had a baby. So childbirth on its own comes with a lot of stress. You want to support your woman, your women, you want to give them the opportunity to rest. Now, regular exercise, it doesn't have to be, 30 minutes or 1 hour on your treadmill. You can go and have a walk, good sleep hygiene. Encourage yourself to relax. If you can do yoga, But above all, how people are supported and cared for makes a lot of difference when they experience this condition. So bipolar, just like any other mental health condition, is a condition. People who have this condition are not bad people. They are not demonic, or they always, it's not easy for us to always assume that they have done something, they must have used recreational drugs. It's not the case. So when somebody has this condition, think about that person as someone who needs your help, not your stigma. You don't need to shame them. You don't need to mock them. Conditions are not who people are, Just like any one of us can have high blood pressure, or high blood sugar, the same way anyone can have bipolar disorder. It should not define those people. We should not shame them or stigmatize against them. If anything, what they need is our love and support. What they need is a shoulder to lean on. They need our empathy. They need people to check on them. If somebody wakes up in the morning and deletes every picture they have on their website or their Instagram page, you don't want to be the first person to mock them. Oh my God, who knows what he or she is going through? Suddenly their marriage is broken and people are talking about it, without paying attention, without thinking, what is going on in this person's life, So, if you or someone could have this problem or this condition, please go and see a doctor. Let us educate ourselves and empower ourselves. Bipolar disorder, just like many other mental health conditions, is not a death sentence. It is nothing to be ashamed of. If Chacha Eke truly has bipolar, because everything I'm saying now is allegedly, I said that already, I don't have any way of proving it because I have not spoken to her. I haven't seen her prognosis or her diagnosis. I'm just going by what she had shared herself, you know, on her social media handle at the time, that she thinks she has bipolar. Her doctor had given her a diagnosis of bipolar. But that doesn't make it, you know, and those of you that will watch it on the replay, I hope you find it very useful. Please remember to like and share. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, consider doing so. I've said it before. A good number of us watch, but we don't remember to subscribe. You are not charged when you subscribe. What it does is it gives me more motivation, and I feel happy knowing that people are enjoying what I'm doing. I am sorry I wasn't able to show my picture on this live. I have a few things I'm working on, you know, technically in the, you know, behind the scene. I'm hoping in the future it will be more interactive. But remember, you can always share your comments on live streams. You can ask your questions. If you have something to talk about, I'm more than happy to share the link. You know, you can join me on the stream. If you want to come on screen, more than happy to do that. Myself, I'm here to learn. I'm here to share my own experience. I told you, if you haven't seen that was actually the first video that started this journey for me. I was taken to a church in Nigeria. I had made a video about that. You know, if you haven't seen that video, please go and watch it. I was made to pray. I went through a rigorous prayer and fasting session that if it wasn't for the grace of God Almighty, I would have died, you know, because I only needed antibiotics. I had infection, but people around me felt what was most ideal was prayer. They felt I needed deliverance. They felt I needed to be prayed upon, and things were deteriorating. That is what ignorance does to people. That is what stigma, you know, when you don't talk about your problem, when you don't seek the right support, trust me, you will end in crisis. And those people around you, everybody will be affected. Your children, your family, the people that love you. So do not feel ashamed. Whatever the situation, talk about it. You're on this journey of life alone. You came alone, you will go alone. So do whatever you can to self-preserve. Look for the support you need. And I hope you all look after yourself. It's been your girl, Jaden. I look forward to seeing you in my next one. Thank you so much, and may God bless you all. Bye now.